She steeled herself and took a step onto the narrow bridge, clinging to the cables along the sides. Phoebe kept her eyes locked dead ahead, willing herself to not look down into the perilous void, and though it only took her a dozen cautious steps to cross, it seemed to take forever. The floor of the nest felt sturdier beneath her feet. A fine gray dust coated every surface and hovered in the air, choking the meager clusters of torch blooms. The kids crept along the perimeter, holding their noses to keep from gagging in the stink. Piles of refuse buzzed with clouds of metal insects that looked like tiny fluttering wingnuts. Skins and hides hung from spiny branches, and a collection of what looked to be mummified mechanical creatures were propped up in perverse poses like an audience waiting for a show to begin. They heard a scuffling sound. Phoebe and Michael looked for the source, their hearts racing, but the echoes were confusing and the shadows impenetrable. Standing in the center of the nest was a cracked table made from a slab of broken tree. Decorated with an elaborate assortment of decrepit talismans and bowls, it looked part altar and part tea set. Fragile-looking metal cups sat on a frilly foil mat beside polished bric-a-brac, as if arranged by a meticulous granny. A boiling pot steamed nearby, a vessel that might have been the petrified head of a mechanical beast. Confused, Micah reached out to inspect the weird gathering of trinkets. The kids jumped. The screeching voice seemed to come from everywhere, but they looked around and saw no one. Then came that scuffling sound once again, this time from directly overhead. A skeletal figure skittered across the top of the nest like an emaciated metal lizard. They screamed, and it screamed back at them.
Sticky, icky fingers! Rocks! No touch!
The creature swung across zip lines, seizing the cables with knobby flat hands as he emerged from the shadows. His head was a grinning human skull, yellowed and cracked with age. A deep fissure ran across the cranium, stained with brown crust that must have been dried blood. A crust of broken rib bones sprouted from the top of the skull, flaring out in the crown.
Allure, leader, wise eyes, come to neck. Choking chokerai, crushing chokerai, bring out the rust.
The creature let out a horrid screech. He pounced. But instead of the agile landing they expected, he clattered to the ground in an awkward heap, flailing like an overturned tortoise and knocking his skull mask askew. The kids now saw he was the same as the other tree dwellers that had captured them, only ancient and withered. His body was wrinkled and peeling like scorched foil, and his frail form was a constellation of tattoos and carvings.
No looking,
he squawked. The creature tried to hide his face, filmy eyes veiled in cataracts and a bent jaw bearing a few lonely teeth. He's just a geezer, Micah breathed in relief. And here I was thinking we were in serious trouble. What do we do? Phoebe asked. For a moment, they just watched the wizened thing struggle. He looked so pathetic that Phoebe stepped forward to help him up, but he shrieked and drove her back. He scrambled for his mask and tried to slip it on, but his clamp hands were too arthritic and clumsy, and he kept dropping it. Phoebe saw wheels inset in his palms, like blackened pulleys. Again, that familiar feeling needled her, but she could not put her finger on it. So that's just a little sample of the book. So I hope you all like it. There's a website, everybody can take a bookmark, and there's a website on there. You can see all the pictures that I was talking about that were done for the book. And there's an email you can write to me again if you like the book, if you have any other questions. So thank you, guys.